So, all right. Hi, guys. So, it's Monday, December 14th. We are halfway through the month, and we've got a lot of Success Club points on the board. So, stick with it and keep pushing. Just a reminder, if you want to send a final email to your customers, today is the deadline for people to have their stuff by Christmas. Also, I've been getting alerts from Coach Relations all morning with everybody's sort of issues that they've had with shipping. They should be all caught up today or tomorrow. So if you still have stuff that's kind of hanging, make sure that I get a message before noon Eastern tomorrow, so that I can get it handled. And we'll make sure that that gets taken care of. If there is any shipping delays, they seem to have caught up. So we have a fantastic guest speaker today. I'm super excited to have her on. We were talking about different topics that we felt like we were strong in. She mentioned this, and I was like, oh my goodness, I absolutely have to have you come on and talk with my team. So she's here to talk with us today. This is Shelly Heim. Shelly is a 6-star diamond. She has been actively coaching since 2012. She's a Success Club 10 legend with 47 months in Success Club. She is a 2013 Premier Coach and a 2014 Elite Coach. We've gone through a bunch of groups together. A lot of us have our own private coach-only challenge groups, and we've kind of gone through a bunch of the programs as they've kind of released over the last year or so together. So she's going to talk today about not disappearing from your business when you kind of get these curveballs we call life kind of thrown at you. So I'm going to turn it right over to you, Shelly.
Okay, so first of all, I want to say thank you for having me, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. I also want to tell you, just in case you don't know this about your coach, Brianne, she is fighting for you every single day in every single corporate group that I am in. She questions everything. She questions shipping. She questions why certain things aren't working the way they are. She questions why corporate does the wonkiest things at the weirdest times when we don't need the wonky during crucial times. So I just want you to know that I see Brianne someday being on the coach advisory board, because she is a beautiful voice for us as coaches and for her team, for every single one of you. So that is what has stood out for me when I see Brianne's posts, and I'm like, how does she even think of that? Like, I just want to shy away and like, oh, if I say anything, they might take away my Success Club points. So know that she has your back, and admire her for that and celebrate her for that, because she's not going to let corporate or anybody else take away your birthday. She is on it for all of us.
Thank you, Shelly.
Thank you. And she's smart as a whip. So she, like I said, she sees things that other people don't see in this business behind the scenes. So with that said, I actually signed up as a coach in 2011, and I'm going to ask you a question first and foremost but I also want you to know that I'm not here to put my dogma on you or my beliefs. I'm just going to tell you truthfully and honestly what has happened to me in the last 4.5 years of being a Beachbody coach. And I've been through some pretty tremendous things. I'm not going to share screens. I don't have a PowerPoint. This is me speaking from my heart and relating true life experiences that I have gone through in the last several years, and how I have not disappeared. And they're pretty big life experiences. So I may cry a little bit, you may cry a little bit, but just be prepared that I'm not trying to put my dogma on you. But I do want you to open your mind a little bit and just think about what I'm going to tell you. So first, do you believe in coincidence? I do not believe in coincidence. I believe that everything happens for a reason. And I have thought this way since I was a little girl. So, but I've not always paid attention to it, and I'm not always put it to use like I could have in certain parts of my life until I started doing personal development. So when I signed in 2011, I had been familiar with Beachbody since 2010 because I was 43 years old at the time, and I was in a really shitty place. I was drinking too much. I was married, but we weren't really, I mean, I am married still to the same person, but we weren't really connecting. We were very social. Thought I was super duper fit, but I didn't really know that my nutrition was in the tank. I wasn't sleeping. I was aging rapidly. I was gaining weight. I was unhappy, basically. I looked at pictures of myself and I just thought, I just looked like this old, gray, lifeless person. And I felt hopeless, and I knew something had to turn around for me, or my next 40 years, if I made it that far, were going to be pretty freaking dismal. So I bought P90X off the Beachbody website. I was assigned a coach, but I knew everything, so I didn't make contact with that coach. I was completely uncoachable, but I did that program for a year. I did several rounds of it, and if any of you have done it, you know that it's not that easy. And at the end of that year, in 2011, when spring came around, I thought, I'm just going to take these pictures everybody's talking about. So I took pictures of myself, and I was like I just slapped myself in the face. I did not get the results I had seen. I didn't look like the people in the DVDs, I'll tell you that much. And I was really disappointed. I felt super strong. My clothes fitted a little bit differently, but I didn't, in a bikini look great by any means. So I finally started to seek out a role model. And that person was somebody I went to high school with, and she had just finished a bikini competition, and all I cared about was how she looked. I didn't care about how she felt. I didn't care about how I felt. I just wanted to look better. And if I knew I looked better, then possibly I could feel better. I was still drinking. I was still sabotaging myself every single weekend. I was, I wasn't like a big binge. I mean, I wasn't a big alcoholic by any means, but every Friday night, that one glass of wine would lead to another one, which would lead to four food choices. And then before I knew it, I was like, well, screw it. I might as well keep going. Start over on Monday. I was the Start Over Monday queen. That should have been my middle name. And so anyway, she convinced me to try Shakeology, and I did. And I sent my first bag back. I thought it was just awful. But she kept telling me, I don't think you're going to have the results you want unless you do this every day. So I ordered another flavor, and I gave it 30 days. And so by now I was into a new program that she recommended, which was Shelly Extreme, and I was eating better, and I was doing Shakeology, and 6 weeks later I lost 15 pounds and over 10% body fat. And I couldn't believe it. Like, my whole life changed. And at that moment, that's when I realized how good it felt to eat right, and how I had lost the fog. I had mental clarity. I was focused. I had a state of elation and euphoria, and I wanted to shout it out from the rooftops. So I signed as a discount coach, but I started coaching without me really realizing it. And I had no idea. I was a successful business person. I had been an entrepreneur. I had been a business owner, small business owner, since I was 22 years old. So it wasn't the money. It wasn't, I didn't have a big why. I just wanted to feel better. That was my why. I wanted to feel better. And I wanted to help other people now at this point do the same thing. So I sold a few bags of Shakeology, and I sold a few challenge packs here and there. And maybe not, I don't even think I sold challenge packs. I didn't even know what challenge packs were. But needless to say, I was setting myself up for this really amazing thing to happen, which was I all of a sudden became a much more positive thinker. I became more grateful. I turned all these negative thoughts that I'd had in my head for so long into positive thoughts. And it wasn't something that I set out to do. It just happened as I started to feel better and as I started to progress through my health. And I started doing a little bit of personal development at that time as well. So now we're in 2012, and my mom at 64 years old starts to have some health issues. And by all means, she should have, because she had gained 80 to 90 pounds when she retired at a very young age in 8 years. And she didn't move her body, and she drank, and she ate crap, and she took medications. She self-medicated with whatever, I think we called it Valium then, now we call it something else, I don't know. But anyway, so I saw this progression, but I was in such a better place mentally at this point that I was able to deal with her issues a lot better. And she was a struggle when she did feel good. So when she didn't feel good, it was even worse. And I signed up in July of 2011. She died, no, I go back. I signed up in July of 2011. She died in August of 2011. So she died of all complications that could have been prevented. And this was a big wake-up call. So this was the first really big thing I went through in my life with Beachbody. And it was awful. It was horrible. It was a horrible thing to watch. It was a horrible thing to experience. But I was into some personal development now. I was feeling strong, and I knew I had a positive association, positive connection with eating right and exercising and how I felt mentally and how I felt emotionally. So I knew if I let those two things go, or one of them go, I was only going to backslide, and I was not going to be able to get through her death and all of the issues that came past her death, dealing with her estate, dealing with her finances, dealing with closing up her house, let alone my emotions, my brother's emotions, and everybody else connected to our family's emotions. So as sad as I was, and as awful as I was, and as much as I wanted to disappear, and I wasn't really coaching actively at this point, I kept going. And I knew my limitations. So I knew that I could still eat right, but for some reason, I could not do cardio. I could lift weights, but emotionally, I could not do cardio. It just took too much out of me. So I kept up with Shelly Extreme. I did the weightlifting sections Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I took breaks when I needed, but I kept my nutrition intact. And I was slowly starting to help people at this point. So through what I was experiencing with her death and my grief, and eating right, and dealing with my own fitness, I was able to help other people. And helping other people made me feel really, really good. Like it was brief moments when I'd sit down at my computer and open up my computer and go into my groups. I was lost. I didn't have to think about the grief. All I did was focus on helping other people and helping them. I started finding people that had issues like my mom had, and I started helping them because I had experience in it. I felt like I had the entitlement at this point to help other people through what I experienced in seeing her die. And I didn't want that for other people. I knew that they could change their lives if I could actually help them, if I could actually let them see that they could connect with me, and that I had experienced a lot of the same things with my mom that they were going through. I wanted to empower other women like that. So there was a nice, beautiful, positive connection to helping other people in my challenge groups and my healthy women's group, and just even on my timeline, just sharing my experiences and what I knew would help other people. And it wasn't that, oh, my mom did this, don't do that, here's what you should do. It was, try this recipe. Stop eating sugar for 7 days and see what happens to your mental clarity. You know, it was little things like that that really, really perpetuated me wanting to do more and more and more coaching, because the only time I really felt good through my mom's death was when I was helping other women with their journeys, with their health, with their fitness, with their struggles. So after that, January of 2012 came, and then I started my first challenge group. And that's when things really started to unfold with me with the Beachbody business, and I started to actually build a business. I started to have a team of coaches, and everything that was really positive. And then in 2000, later in that year, in the fall, my husband and I faced a really big crappy point in our marriage, and I moved out. And I moved out because he was drinking. He was drinking a lot, and it progressively came worse and worse and worse. He was very verbally abusive. He was physically abusive. And I was going through counseling at the time, and I was doing all this personal development. And when I had really, really dark days, the only thing that kept me going was getting in my groups and helping other people. So again, I had this direct positive association with negative things that were happening in my life, scary things that were happening in my life, feeling alone, feeling helpless, feeling like my marriage was falling apart. I had no connection with my husband. In fact, I was completely going in the opposite direction he was at this point. He was fighting me because, of course, I was growing in a positive direction and he wasn't quite there yet. We were not at the same page at all. And there became a lot of frustration. And I was in therapy at this time. I'm kind of always in therapy, but I was going a little bit more at this time since my mom died, and it was part of my personal development. It was just kind of an ongoing basis. And my therapist was aware of my volatile relationship with my husband, and she said, you need a plan. You need a plan because something's going to happen, and you need to be safe when that does happen. And sure enough, that something happened. And it was a very destructive, unhealthy situation. And it was based around jealousy that my husband had, because he was drinking, of my 2-year-old nephew at the time, who I had been babysitting, who was my brother's child, my only brother's child. And our dad had died when we were very young. So Eric and I were all we really had, and his child and his wife and he were very, very, very important to me. And my husband basically in this incident had asked me or told me that I was not to bring Oliver into our home anymore. Oliver is my 2-year-old nephew. So I was very calm because I knew he was in a very, very fragile state, and I was scared. And he came at me. Needless to say, that was the night that my plan had to take effect. And I left and I moved out for 6 weeks. Never ever thinking that I would go back. I was done. I was over. It was over. And I felt it was not easy for me to leave. It was not easy for me to stay gone. I had always had one foot out the door in the past, but always came back. I never followed through. I never followed through with ultimatums I gave him. I was very weak when it came to that. I was afraid to be alone. I had all these fears. I had all these doubts. I was scared. I didn't need him financially, but it's one of those things. You become an enabler and you think that that's your whole life, and you can't imagine it being any different. So you'd rather making a change is much more painful than staying in a situation, which is equally as painful, but it's familiar. So you tend to stay. Well, I was done. I left. I was over it. I was gone. And it was very, very difficult for me. But what I did was I didn't disappear as much as I wanted to. I felt very, very, I didn't feel entitled to help people anymore at that point. I felt broken. I felt like, what can I possibly say to help anybody? How am I going to get through this? How am I going to feel good? But I did it. I forced myself to not disappear, and I forced myself to get in my challenge groups, and I forced myself to share my story privately within those groups to help me heal, but in turn it was helping other people. I was still helping them with their fitness and their health. I was still supporting them. I was still giving them everything I had in me to give, because I didn't know where else to give it. I didn't know what else to do with myself. I, in turn, opened myself up for them. Helping them helped me. When I felt helpless, helping somebody helped me. It was my only solution. Again, I was still doing personal development. I was trying my best to get through this. I really felt like divorce was on the horizon. And it was life-changing. This was a life-changing event. I did not want to be divorced, but I didn't feel like I had a choice. And lo and behold, again, I had a positive association with what Beachbody was giving me in helping others to get through my own horrific, life-changing event. It was the only time I felt solitude. It was the only time I could take that horrible focus that, you know, when you're in a bad negative situation, all you tend to focus on is that bad negative situation. And weeks go by and you're still in that bad negative situation. But going to my groups was the only time I was happy during those 6 weeks. It's the only time I felt like I was making a difference, that, you know, maybe part of it was helping me see that I was going in the right direction. And no matter what happened, I knew I had Beachbody to help me when I was at the lowest points in my life. And not only was it me helping others, by now I had developed so many friends within the Beachbody community that weren't associated with my team, that weren't people I brought in, other people out in the network, that other coaches from other teams, other walks of life, other areas, that we were all connecting, and I had all this love and support. And I was like, this is like my family now. This is, you know, who I can turn to. And my brother was so upset with my husband that, you know, all communication stopped between them. Oliver was not allowed to be anywhere near my husband because of what happened, and because, you know, Oliver wasn't there when it happened, but he was the catalyst, supposedly, that made Ryan go over the edge. So, and my husband said some pretty horrific things about Oliver, which I in turn shared with my brother, because I didn't have anyone else to talk to, really, you know, I mean, in my family unit. And looking back on that, I kind of have some regret, thinking, you know, if I would have just kept my mouth shut, my brother and Ryan would not have had that disconnect. And when Ryan and I did get back together, there wouldn't have been that issue pending on our relationship, because it lasted for way too long, that disconnect between their communication. Needless to say, long story short, I moved back home. Ryan quit drinking, which I never expected him to do. And we have worked very, very, very hard on our marriage for the last 3 years, thankfully. And I'm going to tell you, it was not easy. It's been a lot of flipping work, but it had a good outcome. So again, positive association to a very bad situation, and how Beachbody helped me in more ways than just going into my groups. I had support from friends that I had never met in person. I could go into any one of my coaching groups and say, hey, I'm struggling today. Can you go into my groups and help? My team was behind me. They would help me pick up the pieces when I couldn't. But for the most part, 90% of the time, I was there and I did not disappear. I let that life struggle help me help other people. And I can't tell you now how many people I've helped because of what I went through, whether it's because they've been in an abusive relationship, whether they're drinking too much, whether their spouse is drinking too much, whether they're on the verge of divorce or separation or whatever. Because of what I went through, I can just pay all that forward and help so many other people. And people are really open to receive help in desperate times. So it just made me feel, I was so rewarded and so validated. And I started to see this connection, like everything that led up to not only my mom's death and my husband's death wasn't a coincidence. It was all started with me getting my health and fitness on track, and me getting myself in a better mind space to not only get through these life-altering experiences and events that were thrown at me unexpectedly, out of my control, to dealing with them head on, facing them, getting through them, preparing myself for them, preparing myself to be in a better mental state to deal with these things. I would have never gotten to that point without Beachbody, without the personal development, without the trainings and the beautiful community support that Beachbody provides us. It is the trainings and the personal development that we are exposed to in this company are priceless. And we should take advantage and appreciate every single solitary one of them. Everything. Even if you take away one little thing from a training or a personal development book or what another coach may say who's on your team call, you take one thing away, it is a huge, huge thing, a huge gift that we are giving. And in most trainings and most personal development, you take many things away, right? So it's only going to help you perpetuate how you deal in a positive way with life-altering events, because they're coming. They are coming. And we don't have any control of them. And I totally believe that my life would be perfect. We would have no issues. Our family would be tight and close. And, I don't have any children. So, I really believe that, nothing bad was going to happen to us. And then here, two big, huge, major things happen. And I'm like, how, I got to deal with this. I can't run away. I can't hide. So the third thing that happened, and this was about 19 months ago, it was March 12th of 2014. I'm so bad on, what is this, 2015? So my brother is a commercial fisherman in Alaska. He's been a commercial fisherman in the Bering Sea for 23 years at this point. He's 44 years old. He has a beautiful wife. They just moved to a town called Redmond, Oregon, which is about 4 hours away from where I live on the coast. They have Oliver, who is now 5 years old, just turned 5, and they just had a beautiful baby named Bennett, who is 5 weeks old. And my brother got to be home for the birth of Bennett, and he had worked on a crabbing boat for the majority of his career, where they went as far up north as they could. They would have to break ice to find crabs. They fished king crab and snow crab, blue crab, brown crab, all kinds of different crabs, but it was obviously very dangerous. So if you are familiar with The Deadliest Catch, you know what his life was like. He was on that boat, and he would be gone for sometimes 5 to 6 months at a time, and then home for a couple months and have to do a lot of boat work and then back up. And so the family life wasn't very stable because of that, and he was missing out on a lot with his son Oliver, and they knew they wanted to have another baby. So before Bennett was born, he took a job on a safer boat. And they didn't go up as far as north. They didn't crab. They didn't go out in bad weather. They stayed inside the Bering Sea a little bit, and they didn't have to beat ice. It was just such a better deal. And he also was gone for 2 months and home for 1 month on rotation consistently, and that never faltered. So his home life was a lot better. So Bennett was born, and I get this call from him one day, and he says, "I don't want to go back up." And I said, "I know you don't want to go back up." And, we cried. I didn't want him to go back up. It was one of my big reasons. I was like, if I could ever make it in this business, I'm going to make damn sure that my brother doesn't have to work in Alaska anymore. And I said, "Eric, you're going to be home before you know it. Have a great trip. Let's keep in touch. It's perfectly natural that you are not wanting to go. You just had a baby. He's 5 weeks old." He says, "I got to go, sis. I got to go. I know it's my call. I know this is how I provide for my family." So he goes back up, and 2 weeks later, the captain's wife of the boat that he was on and one of my best friends comes to my salon and tells me that Eric fell off the boat. and he had been in the water at that time for about an hour and a half. The water's 37 degrees. And I knew at that moment, again, my life was going to change and that he would never be found. And he was never found. He's been lost at sea ever since. So he leaves home behind a 5-week-old son, 5-year-old son, and a beautiful wife. They had just started building a brand new home. And our lives were completely changed forever. He was my best friend. He was my rock. We didn't have a very good childhood. We clinged on together to each other. And my whole world at that point felt like it ended. So I remembered being at leadership the year before that. And I remember John Congdon being on the stage, and John Congdon talked about his experience with an infection, a terrible, terrible infection that he had obtained through a knee operation that almost cost him his life. And my mom died, by the way, of gangrene sepsis. So I'm very familiar with infection. And he was hospitalized for, I think, 3 months. And he came to a point during that time where it was looking pretty bleak, where he told Carl Deichler, I don't think I can do this anymore. I'm done. I can't fight. I don't have the energy. I'm tired and sick. And of course, Carl, his heart sinks, and John's heart sinks, and he says, I had that thought for 4 seconds, and I turned it around. And he told himself that he was worth it, and that he could go on with this business. So you can imagine on their level what they're feeling compared to my level at the time of being a 3-star diamond coach or 4-star diamond coach, not making very much money per week. I could have thrown in the towel very, very easily. And believe me, I wanted to. I wanted to be in the water with my brother. I did not want to come out of it. I did not want to come back. I did not want to help anybody. I did not. It was the hardest thing to just get myself out of bed every single day. And there was a moment there, where all my bad habits started coming back in. There was one day, I think it was day 2 after he died, where I lived off snickerdoodles, started living off snickerdoodles from the church ladies because everybody was bringing us food. They made snickerdoodles. Must have made 500 of them. I probably ate 300 of them in 2 days. I didn't quite go back to drinking at that point, and I had by that time I had abstained with my husband. We had been alcohol-free for 1.5 years. And I did it to support him, but I wanted to drink again. I wanted to eat bad foods. I wanted to not exercise. I could barely stomach opening my computer and Facebook. My brother was loved by very many people. There were 500 people at his memorial that flew in from Alaska, from all over the country. We grew up in a very small town on the Oregon coast. I still live here. It was a phenomenal outpouring. And I just could not believe, I couldn't accept the fact that he was gone. But after the 2 days of eating snickerdoodles and feeling like complete crap, I knew I had 2 choices. I could go this way, down the deep, dark rabbit hole where I had been. In fact, I knew I was going to go deeper than where I had been. Or I could turn it around. And I could take everything I learned and all the strength that I had developed through my personal development and through the power of being empowered, of helping other people, to help myself, to open up that computer, to get back in my groups and to help other people. because I knew by doing that, they would help me too. And that's what I did. So for that fleeting, my 4 seconds lasted a hell of a lot longer than John Congdon's, lasted about 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 days of wanting to quit, throwing it in, giving up. My team rallied around me. My top coach, Ashley, took over for a few days, for a week, helped me pop a couple emeralds, get me on to my next rank advancement, which gave me a little bit of hope. She worked with my coaches. My upline stepped in, helped me in any way that I needed. And I am not one to ask for help, believe me. I am very independent. I don't like asking for help. It makes me uncomfortable. But at this point, I knew that if I didn't accept it, I was going to be sunk. I accepted all the help that this Beachbody community could give me. And every day I started opening my computer and I started getting back in my groups and I started helping people and I started back in my personal development and I started eating veggies and I started eating chicken instead of focusing on the snickerdoodles. I had a margarita, which helped me relax one day. But I knew that all of a sudden, all that fog came back. It wasn't worth it. The sugar wasn't worth it. Alcohol wasn't worth it. What was worth it, what was going to help me heal the very best I could, and I didn't know how long it was going to take. I'm still not healed. Every single day, I'm dropped to my knees because of what happened to my brother. But every single day, I don't self-medicate with food or booze or pills. My medication is getting in my groups and helping people and not disappearing because people need me. Feeling needed is such a great strength. There's so much power in that and so much love in that and so much light in that that you can't help but improve yourself at the same time. So again, I have a positive association to what Beachbody has given me. And if you allow that to come into your life and you receive all of the love and support and the light that comes with this job, that comes with this community, that comes with building a tribe of people that love you and are like you, you can go so far and you can get through anything. And all those little things right now that you may be feeling that are overwhelming and unbearable and make you want to just go and run under the covers and not deal with people who are depending on you, it'll just become so much easier. You will come from a place of gratitude. You will start to slowly be able to manage all these stresses that come into your life and be so appreciative of what you have to give to others that it will help you instead of hurt you. You won't feel like it's going to take all this energy to get through these horrific situations, which then in turn makes you feel like you have no more energy to give to anybody else. You know, we can all only handle so much, but I think we can all handle much more than we give ourselves credit for. So, going through the worst thing in my life to date, and there may be worse. God forbid, I hope there's not, you know, but all these things, all this, what led up to my brother's death and how my life stacked in order, how my emotions were so much different from when I started in 2010 to when my brother died in 2014. I'm a different person. Thank God. Because I probably would be living under the bridge right now if it wasn't for Beachbody. I could not handle these life events that happened to me as well as I have without Beachbody, without helping other people. So when your times are so overwhelming and these things come at you and you don't think you can handle it or help or go into your groups or focus on your business, let those experiences that you're feeling, good or bad or indifferent or tragic or horrific, perpetuate and and move you to helping other people, I'm telling you, it is going to bring you so much more healing than you can imagine. You're going to handle things so much differently. You're going to not react. You're not going to throw your hands up in the air and be completely submissive to stress and terrible things that happen in your life. You're going to have a whole complete way of dealing with them. And you're going to have a positive association with, my God, I made it through that. And why did I make it through that? I made partly because it was because of Beachbody, because the tools that I've learned and taken with me to my soul because of Beachbody to help me get through these life events. So I hope you see that connection, and I hope you know that there's always somebody going through something worse. Even at that worst time, that moment when I was told, when my brother fell off that boat, I knew there was somebody out there going through something worse. Somebody was losing a child. Somebody's child had cancer. Somebody was in such a dark place that they possibly wanted to take their life. You know, there's so many situations that are worse than what you're going through, and I found comfort in that. It made me not dwell on feeling so terribly sorry for myself, and I had every right to be sorry for myself. And, you know, I know too, and I'm speaking to some of you, if you are newer coaches, you know, we get caught up in your why. Brianna said this on my team call today. You know, everybody's emphasis is you got to know your why. You got to know your why. You got to know your why. And I truly do believe you have to have a why, but our whys change all the time. And I also know that for many months and still to this day, sometimes I think, what really is my why? Like, what is it? But I have a little thing, and I'm going to share this with Brianne, and she can post it in your groups later. But it will help you define your purpose. And this doesn't have a lot to do with disappearing when you are facing tough times in this business. But I think that if you can get a little clearer on your why, that why will contribute to you not disappearing. It'll give you a reason to keep going. My reason is I just didn't want it. I wanted to heal from this. I didn't want to go back to the person or a worse person than I was when I started at 43. And I thank God every single day, I'm 48 now, that I had the wherewithal to not disappear and to be better than I expected I would be. But I'm going to just share with you something I came across a while ago, and it's really helped my coaches find their purpose, their why, their reasons, and know that purpose comes from within. It comes inside of you. Only you know that. Only you can find it. It works from the inside out. Try not to overthink it, and don't think it has to be clear in one split second. It can take some time, and life's events will change your purpose from time to time. The sooner you know your why, your purpose, the sooner you can shift your focus from yourself to others. People who know their why and who know their purpose can keep their heads while everything around them is in turmoil. And that draws other people to them, to you, because they're relating to your experience, what you're going through. I hate to say this, and I did not ever expect this to happen to me. But by sharing my grief on social media, there was no set schedule. It came to me, it came out when it came to me. My business blew up. because people were relating to me. I was being honest about what I was going through. And there were other people, like I said, going through really, really shitty things too. Shake off your emotional and mental shackles that hold you back and live your life with excellence and intention. And you're going to want to answer these questions without a filter. Like I said, Brianne is going to post these, so you'll have them. But if you have a pen and paper and you want to write some of them down, please do so. Number one, what makes you cry? What breaks your heart? What disturbs you? What causes you emotional pain? What causes you so much discomfort that you are motivated to take action and to do something to bring healing to that situation? The other side of that, what do you sing about? What makes you happy? What makes you jump for joy? What puts a bounce in your step? What feeds your soul? These are two different, very different questions and ways to look at what you're feeling, good or bad, but how they can help you define your purpose. What do you dream about? If you could accomplish anything in the world that would make a difference in the lives of others, what would that be? What could your picture be? If you could live out your wildest dream, what would it look like? What would your perfect day look like? If you had all the resources, all the time, all the money, what would your life be like? And go big, dream big. Don't let things in the past that have maybe broken your spirit and stopped you from dreaming. Get past that, dream, write them down. Do a brain dump. Anything that comes to your mind, your perfect day, your perfect life, what would it look like? Because it's possible. If you believe it, it's possible. Name one word that describes you. One word. What is your one word? Where will this one word take you? How does it relate to adding value to others? So my one word, and I've always go back to it through all the shit I've been through all the successes I've been through, the one word that describes me is consistent. I am very, very, very consistent. And I love that word. I love that that's who I am. And I'm not just consistent in a few things anymore. I used to be, but now I'm consistent in a lot of things. A lot of healthy things. Not dysfunctional things, healthy things. That's where Beachbody turned me around. That's why I don't disappear anymore. Keep this word in your mind, and in the coming weeks, see where it leads you. So one thing I do with my coaches and with myself is when I'm really struggling, we all struggle on finding motivation and what to post and what to share to people. You know, Brianne shared a lot of cool, 3 cool apps that she gave us to help, you know, with motivation today. She talked about the Secret app and the Spirit app and the Think Up app. But one thing I do is I'll take, when my coaches are struggling or when I'm struggling, I'll say, you know, think of one word, just one word for the week, one word for the day, one word for the month, and post about that word in any relationship you can think of. So for me, consistency, I can be consistent in my diet. I can be consistent in my exercise. I can be consistent in my personal development, my 3 vital behaviors. I can be consistent in making my bed every day. You know, and then I find posts that I can use within that word. It's just a great way to help you find motivation. We sometimes do it as a team. We have a word of the week that we handpick. We have a girl who handpicks from a deck of cards of these spiritual motivational cards. She picks the word, and then that's the word we use for a team each week. And we focus on that word and what it means and how we can improve in areas of our lives using that word. How can we inspire other people using that one word? You could have a word for the year. A lot of leaders, John C. Maxwell, he picks a word every year and develops his year around that word. One year he used the word miracle. What a beautiful world. I mean, you can do so many things with the word miracle. So I'm going to leave you with that. I'm going to share my little document here with Brianne, so you guys have that. But it's an exercise that if you do it, it will really add a lot of value to your purpose. It'll really help you see things. And it might take a couple times of doing it, but if you do it, it will tremendously help you understand exactly what makes you tick, what's good and what's bad, and how you work and how you can design your life around that.
Wow. My gosh, thank you for sharing your whole story. It's just unbelievable, but it is important, I think, to realize the kind of support that we have as a network. I think we're incredibly blessed for this to be such a family, regardless of what anybody, kind of is going through. The network always seems to rally, and we know our customers and our challengers tend to rally around us when we need it. But I know there's been plenty of times that people in the wall rally around each other when things are shared in there, that's going on. And it's nice to know that we have that sort of family, and why it's important to not disappear. We talk about our stories are, the most vulnerable points in our lives. And it's important that we share that if we want people to share those kind of things with us on their journey. So thank you for sharing all of that with us. I'm so happy that we had you on today. And we will be posting that in the team page. Did anyone have any questions or anything that they wanted to say before we close it out for the day?
I know it was probably a pretty heavy deal, but I don't know how to say it any other way.
No. And I think it's really important to kind of see that no matter, what, and I think, for people who maybe haven't followed you for very long, or they don't know you very well, they don't know those kind of things about you and about what you've gone through. And it's kind of about how, we just have to kind of just keep pushing forward and,
right.
Being blessed with what we do have. And
yeah. And you said something on my team call today that, what if, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was really good. It was like, what if Shelly, what if you never did what she said she was going to do, or posted that challenge group invite, or, that brought you on board, or whatever. It's the same thing. What if you disappear? Who are you hurting? Who are you leaving behind? Because there's no really reason for you to disappear. You go away we all handle grief and stress and things in our own way, but we also have the ability to turn those horrific times into our strength. Mm-hmm. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And know that you're not alone. And I know what it's like, and I know you know what it's like, and Brianne knows what it's like when you have somebody in your groups that's engaged, and then all of a sudden they become a ghost. And you don't know, you don't hear, and you wonder, and and you try to reach out, and maybe somebody's not responding like you want, or, I just want everybody to know that nobody has to disappear. You can take a step back. We'll handle your shit for you. We'll take care of your groups. We will help you still earn Success Code points if that's what you need to do while you take a step back. But you have to ask for help, and you have to let us know what's going on a certain degree. Say, hey, I need help. If you've ever heard of Anita Myron talk, one of the top 10 coaches, she goes down deep, dark alleys. And you know what? She asks her team for help. And she's still in the top 10. So it's there for you if if you are open to receiving it. We're not going to let you fail. Only you can let yourself fail.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much, Shelly.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I'm happy that we got to hook up and do this today. It was
Yeah.
afternoon, morning of everything for me. And thank you for taking the time out of your day to kind
You're
of
welcome.
chat with us for a bit. So guys, we'll post this recording in the page as soon as it's up, and I will be taking the exercise from Shelly and posting that in the page too. So be sure to tag your coaches so they see it. And thanks again, Shelly.
You're welcome. Right. Have a great day, you guys.
Bye.
Finish 2015 strong.
For sure.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.